Jealousy is universal. You can't really say it's an Asian thing or a Latin thing. I mean, it shows up, but just about any country you go to, any person you deal with, it's just one of those, what I call like a character fault. The thing I want to look at is whether or not jealousy can be fixed, because we're all going to run into it. We're all going to run into a woman that say you're crazy about whatever, but it just turns out that they're really jealous. Or it could be that you meet somebody and everything's going great, but you're the one that is just feeling uncontrollably jealous. So let's take a look at that. Jealousy, out of all the problems that you could have in a relationship, jealousy is like the worst to have present as a problem in a relationship. It is toxic to the very construct of a relationship. Because if the problem you're having in a relationship is that you're constantly butting heads, or one person, spends money wastefully and the other one's trying to be frugal, if it's a lot of other issues, you can work through those, and you can over time either find some kind of a compromise or an agreement that works out. But with jealousy, there really is only one solution to dealing with jealousy, and it's that the jealousy has to be removed from the relationship, no matter who's doing it, one person or both persons. The jealousy has to go in order for the relationship to be a healthy and happy one. Now, there's people who stay together with the jealousy, and to me, that's not optimal, because you eventually, it's kind of like more like a Cold War, that constantly keeps resurfacing. I'll give you one example of somebody who's been married now, I believe, for about going on 25 years, I would say. A friend of mine, really good friend, really good guy from California, still living in the United States. He and his wife met, usual kind of thing, met when they were young and very romantic and all that, and they love each other, and they now have been married, like I said, over 20-some years, and they got 2 kids, and they've done well, no major problems. They're financially, they're solid, and, everything is great. Life is good. But, I got to know him very well, and he shared a lot with me about, the history of the relationship, him and his wife. And it was always the same thing. It was, she's great, she's wonderful, she's a fantastic mother, a fantastic wife, great cook, great good companion, all this stuff, but she has this jealous streak. Now, he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. He just calls it as he sees it with her, and so they have over the years discussed it a million times, and he doesn't try to appease her. He gets in her face and tells her, stop being so jealous, Now, here's the thing. Over the years that I got to know him, again, his wife never did let up. It's just so ingrained in her to be jealous. And to me, it's like an obsession. I mean, it controls her. She has no control over her jealousy. I mean, she just gets jealous over the simplest things. A dog's barking at the corner. That must mean some girl left his house. I mean, it's like that insane. And so what ended up happening over the years is they came to sort of a detente. She never did change in her jealousy. She never got rid of it. And there were many times when he was like that close to divorcing her. But he doesn't believe in divorce, and he wants to make it work. And so he has. And like I said, they're still married. But there were times there where he and I just talked, and he was just agonizing over how incredibly painful it is to live with a jealous person. And I've been in that situation. I had a girlfriend years ago, and they're in the Philippines. And, I've been kind of lucky. Most of the women I've dated were not that jealous. Nothing that was even a problem. I mean, nothing that I would even worry about. It was like just, I've been pretty lucky. But I did have one who was incredibly jealous, to the degree that they would call, I'm not kidding, like voice call, about every 45 minutes to an hour and a half, every day, all day, from like the time they knew I woke up, which is about 10 in the morning, until even as late as they could stay awake. till like midnight. They're like, where are you? What are you doing? And it wasn't always in an accusatory sort of way, although it's an accusation no matter how you look at it, because they're coming from a jealous standpoint. It would be like, again, where are you right now? Well, it's 11 o'clock at night. I told you 45 minutes ago I'm at my apartment. So you didn't go anywhere? No, been here. Well, what did you do? Did anybody stop by? No, nobody stopped by. I mean, just this inquisition. And here's where the destruction comes in jealousy being a part of a relationship, is that the person who's not jealous, the person who is the victim of the jealousy, and I use that word accurately, when you're dealing with a jealous person, you are a victim. I mean, because they are constantly suspicious of you. Instead of two people loving each other, believing the best in each other, taking care of each other, that whole love, positive, healthy love relationship has been shifted to the side. And now the arrangement of the relationship is the jealous person has put themselves in the position of judge, jury, and executioner over the other person. It's not an equal relationship anymore. What you've got is the jealous person constantly putting the other one on trial. I mean, at least in normal court, you go before the judge, you present your evidence, the other side presents their evidence, you make your arguments, it goes before the judge or a jury, there's a decision, you're done. Either they find you guilty or not guilty. They find you guilty when you're innocent, or they find you innocent when you're guilty. But there's a decision made, and it's done. But in jealousy, when it's in a relationship, it's never done. It's never done. And it's never fair. So you wake up one day, and again, you're just going about your business. You're grocery shopping. Your partner, calls you up on the phone. What are you doing? Oh, I'm grocery shopping. Yeah. Well, anybody with you? No. And they're not asking if there's anyone else in the store. They're asking if you took a date to the grocery store. I mean, it's that crazy. And it's like, no, there's nobody here. And it's like, well, did you talk to anybody? It's like, well, I talked to the cashier. Was it a woman? Well, yeah. Was she pretty? Well, if you're asking, I don't know. I'd give her about a 6 or a 7. She was kind of attractive. I don't know. I guess, whatever. Oh, so you like her. And see, this is the thing. You're put on trial, and no matter what you say, in fact, it's almost like the more you try to appease them and answer their questions and even give them evidence and prove, here's a selfie of me, I'm in the grocery store, I'm by myself, and you send it to them, it's an unfair inquisition. It's an unfair trial. Because no matter how much you explain yourself, they're still going to look at you like they're not convinced. And if they don't have enough to make a flat out accusation, they just file it away under, well, I know he proved his innocence, but I'm still going to put him in the guilty category. I still don't know what he was doing. Maybe he had the girl he's seeing hide behind him or behind the camera while he took the selfie, or maybe he got that girl's cashier's phone number and he didn't tell me. I mean, in their sick, twisted mind, they come up with the most convoluted suspicions. Now, here's the thing with suspicion. It's kind of like the law regarding illegal search and seizure in the United States. The police are not allowed to search your person or your vehicle or your domicile unless they have probable cause. If there's a probable, reasonable reason to invade your privacy or investigate you, before they can start doing all that, there has to be probable cause, which is just a legal way of saying justifiable suspicion. Not just blind suspicion, not pulling things out of thin air, but justifiable suspicion of a crime. They see a bag of what looks like marijuana on the seat. Okay, now they have probable cause to say, come out of the car, I'm going to inspect your car, I'm going to find out if what looks like a bag of marijuana really is a bag of marijuana. I have probable cause. Now, when in jealousy, all that's required is that they have free time on their hands. That's it. And if they're sitting around thinking, well, I think they're cheating on me, I'm going to call them, and then they call you. And like I already said, no matter what you say, they're just going to figure you're guilty and they're going to suspect you, and they're even going to accuse you and say, well, I think you're seeing someone else. Okay, I understand. I comprehend what you just said. You think I'm seeing someone else. Now tell me why. Why would you think I'm seeing someone else? And there's no justification to it. Well, I just feel. Okay, so I'm guilty because you feel like I'm seeing someone else, like I'm cheating on you. And they're like, well, I just know. Really? Okay, well, I know things based on facts and evidence. So a justifiable moment of jealousy and suspicion would be if, say, for instance, someone sent her a picture of you in a restaurant having dinner with another woman when you just said that you were home at your apartment. Okay? Now that would be justifiable suspicion. That would be noteworthy to call up, get on a video call and say, where you're at, let me see where you're at. That would be justifiable suspicion. But to constantly accuse someone or be accused when there is no justification for it, and here's the thing, like I've already touched on, is it gets really absurd. Like, well, I got this feeling, or I had a dream. I've had this happen to me, where she woke up in the morning and said, I had a dream that you cheated on me. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had a dream that I was chased by Godzilla, but, you don't see me worried about it. And she's like, well, it must mean something. I go, yeah, it means you're jealous and suspicious. That's what it means. No, you must be seeing someone. Who is it? Who is she? Why won't you tell me? It's a dream you had. Again, fed by your mindset. And so there is just no fixing it. Now, here's the thing with as far as why jealousy is so toxic to a relationship, is that every other relationship you have is open to more than two people. Whether it's your family, hey, if you got a family of 5 brothers and sisters, and your mom, your dad, your grandma, there could be 8 people in the family or whatever, and that's okay. Have plenty of people. It's that type of relationship. Or with your friends or your buddies or your, people you knew from high school or, people you know at work. All those other relationships can be more than 2 people, So if you and your buddy, you and a buddy decide to go get a pizza, and it's like, hey, you mind if I bring my buddy along? Oh, no, sure, more the merrier. Hey, let's all go get some pizza. Well, actually, let's the 5 of us, let's go down and get some pizza. That's great. But in a relationship, an eros relationship, a love relationship, there's only room for 2. And that's a good thing. It's a good construct. It's how love is supposed to be. In a love relationship, there's really only room for 2. So the idea, and this is what drives jealous people crazy, the idea that you may have introduced secretly a third person into what is supposed to be an exclusive relationship only for 2 is a huge violation of the love relationship, and it will drive them crazy. It would drive me crazy. If I'm dating a woman and I find out she's dating another guy, yeah, I would have justifiable reason to be really pissed off. But here's the thing. That's if it's really happening. If it's not happening, and it only exists in the jealous person's mind, well then, there's nothing to be upset about. There's not even anything to investigate. 99% of a jealous person's questions and inquisitions and investigations, and it's totally unjustified. It could be something as stupid as like, well, who's that woman 20 feet behind you in that picture you posted on Facebook? I don't know. I took the selfie. There's people behind me. How can I see them? They're behind me. How am I supposed to know who she is? I don't know. And no matter what answer you give, like I said, it's never sufficient. And as I mentioned before too, the more you explain, the more you try to prove your innocence, the more you fall into that whole, they're the judge and you're the guilty until proven innocent. Well, good luck with that. Now, like I said, some people will try to appease and keep up. And that's usually the first response. Because at first you want to reassure this person, oh, okay, so you're communicating, you have concerns, I understand. Well, let's get this out in the open, let's talk about it. And then you will see that there's nothing to worry about, and we can just get on with our relationship. Oh, okay, so you're asking me about the phone call I got? Well, here, dial the person back, that's the person I order business cards from, or whatever it is. That's the Grab person who delivered my food, checking the address. And then you would think that if you just appease them and give them the evidence and prove that, hey, there's nothing here to be suspicious about, well, then they can drop it. And that's what a normal person would do. But for a person who's, again, just sick with jealousy, appeasing them and trying to prove your innocence, it's that slippery slope. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And until they can let go of their jealousy, I just don't see it getting better. I think the only thing that will fix them or wake them up maybe is getting in their face and telling them, you're destroying our relationship. All this suspicion, not only are you stressing me out with having to prove myself all the time, but it tells me that you don't trust me. We're supposed to be trusting each other. I trust you. I trust you when you need to go do something for 2-3 days and with family, whatever. I trust you. So why can't you trust me? And if you feel you really can't trust me, then go find somebody you think you can trust. Because that's the other way of handling it, is just head on and just saying, you know what? I am not going to be put on trial every day. I am not going to play this game where you just basically continue to put me on the spot for no justifiable reason. And when you do that, it may come to either they do one of two things. They either say, wow, I'm ruining. I've got a good woman. I've got a good guy. Whatever the case may be, I'm really messing this up. Or maybe their best friend has to tell them, you're going to lose this guy. You're going to lose this woman if you just keep pounding them with jealousy. And then they stop and they think and they go, okay, I'm going to stop doing that. Unless they give me real reason to be suspicious, I'm just not going to go down that route. And I'll say, and then life is good. And then you move on and you're in love and it's great. But the other way that can go is the person decides, I just know I've got reason to be jealous and I just haven't caught you yet. Well, at that point, if that's their mindset, if they're basically saying they're not going to trust you, they are going to continue being jealous, and they are going to continue to force you to be on trial, if that's the mindset they're taking, personally, I know people would like to think that you can salvage a relationship, and I'm not one quick to just give up on a relationship. But if a person is telling me, no, I just don't trust you. I just think there's, and you have done nothing wrong. You have done nothing wrong to even give them that impression. My thoughts are, it can't be fixed. That's me. I think, I can't fix this because proving my innocence is just going to make it worse. And it will never end. It will never end. They're just always literally like a magician out of thin air. They can pull a suspicion or accusation just out of thin air with nothing. So to me, if you run into a person who has made it clear that they're going to continue being jealous and they even feel justified, it's like, and I've heard this before, it's like, well, I love you so much, I don't want to lose you. Well, guess what? You keep this nonsense up, you're going to lose me. That's how it's going to end. So the thing that you were so worried about happening, that you're going to lose me to someone else, that's exactly what's going to happen. And it wouldn't have happened, again, if they hadn't been jealous. Jealousy is like salt, like seasoning your food. A little bit of salt actually enhances the meal. And same thing with jealousy. When we're talking, and here's the emphasis, a teeny tiny little bit of jealousy, well, then you kind of know they care. They don't want to lose you to someone else. And that's one way you can look at it is, okay, they got a little jealous because the cashier flirted with me a little bit, and she's right there. She's right there next to you, and you're not the one flirting with them. They're the one flirting with you. Okay, so they get a little bit jealous, or you get a little bit jealous because the waiter, again, is kind of sort of being a little too chummy with conversational with her, and, you just want to order the food. A little teeny tiny bit of jealousy is okay, because again, and she's like, are you jealous? Well, yeah, I'm jealous. I don't want to share you with somebody else. Not like that, And it's like, then they reassure you, no, I love you and I want to be with you. And, it can all end very great that night. It can be really good. But just like salt. You put too much salt into anything and you ruin that meal permanently. You can never fix it. You can't unsalt oversalted food, you know? I mean, actually, well, just to be technical, if you put too much salt in a soup, you can put in a couple potatoes and it'll soak up some of the salt, but again, no guarantees. As far as a relationship, yeah, I don't know how you're going to stick a potato in that and get jealousy out. I mean, jealousy is just toxic. It just really is. And so when you do encounter it in someone else, you got to decide, okay, can this be salvaged? Can this person drop it? Because that's the only solution. You know, it has to be gone. It's like pouring battery acid into your Kool-Aid. I mean, it's not going to end well. There's no place for jealousy in a relationship. And if you are the jealous person, again, one of two things is true. Either they're guilty or they're not. Now, if they're guilty, don't bother being jealous. In fact, it's to your advantage to not be jealous. And I'll tell you why. Because let's just assume that you're with somebody and you haven't been with them long and maybe you're still kind of suspicious, whatever, and you've got this feeling, this gut feeling that some of the things they say just don't add up. That they're not where they always say they are, and that person they talk to isn't, you know, there's more to it than that. Let's just assume that you're in a relationship with somebody who really is cheating on you. By you being jealous, they're going to be extra careful in covering their tracks. So if you really are suspicious, here's my recommendation. Don't put them on the third degree. Don't ask them about every little thing. Just treat them like you would treat them as a loving person. And like the old saying goes, give them enough rope to hang themselves. Because if they don't feel they have to be on high alert, they're going to screw up. And I have done this in the past. And I had my suspicions. I kept it to myself. I didn't go like, well, who's that guy and what's that phone call, this and that. I just kept it myself. I was like, okay, either there's nothing to worry about here or there is. But I'm not gonna be on their case about it. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, you know. And what happened was they got sloppy, you know. They got sloppy with their excuses. They got sloppy with everything. And eventually I had them dead to rights. Busted. Okay. So by putting the microscope on them, they go on high alert if they really are cheating. And they're like, oh man, I better have my story straight. And what if he thinks of this? I mean, you're going to make it harder to catch them by being jealous. So don't do that. And here's the other possibility. If they're not cheating on you and you're just like, for whatever reason, feeling insecure and jealous, if you just, again, don't make an issue out of it and you're not putting the inquisition on them and they really are not cheating on you, you've saved a good relationship instead of ruining it, you know. And this is what jealous people, again, in their high state of anxiety or whatever, don't seem to understand, is that if they're hiding an affair from you and then you ask them, are you having an affair? 9 times out of 10, they're not going to tell you, oh, yeah, I am having an affair. You know, now that you ask me, I guess I'll have to tell you. No, if they were hiding it before, they're going to hide it from you now and they're going to lie to you and whatever. So going on this whole fact-finding, excursion where you're asking them about every single photo and why did you put a like on this person's Facebook and, why did you like their article about, the rainforest or whatever? Are you sleeping with them? I'm telling you, it'll ruin a relationship.